Va'ashlich es afro el hanachal hayored min hahar. So Moshe Rabbeinu essentially says, I've taken the egel, I've taken the golden calf, I've burnt it up in the fire, I went ahead and I ground it up well until it was dust, and I put its dust into the river that runs down from the mountain. So the point Rabbi Yossi is saying is, you see, how did Moshe Rabbeinu dispose of the egel? He went ahead and he ground it up into dust and he threw it into the water. So you see from here that this is a bona fide approach to dealing with Avodah Zara. Also, this Gemara also, this approach, Rabbi Yossi is also presupposing that the Chet HaEgel was a sin of idolatry, which we know is an incredible machlokes on the Farshim, exactly what it is that Klal Yisrael was doing with the Egel. But nevertheless, the Rabbi Yossi says, you see from here a historical precedent about how to deal with Avodah Zara. Grind it up, throw it into the water. Amru lo. So they said back to Rabbi Yossi, Misham Raya, you can't bring a proof from there. Harehu Omer, Vayizer al Pnei Hamayim, Vayash es Bnei Yisrael. So remember again, the difference over there is the pasuk explicitly says that Moshe Rabbeinu took the dust of the egel, spread it out over the water, and gave to Klal Yisrael to drink. Gave Klal Yisrael to drink. So the Gemara says, what was Moshe Rabbeinu's? What was his logic? What was he doing? Lo niskaven ela lebotgon kisotos. That I will say Moshe Rabbeinu wanted the waters to check Klal Yisrael like the Sota waters, just like in the process of the Sota. The waters of the Sota check the woman for whether or not she's maintained marital fidelity. So too again, Moshe Rabbeinu grinds up the egel, puts it in the water, has Klal Yisrael drink. The goal of that water was to test them kisotos. So we'll say the idea being that they're saying to Rabbi Yossi, you can't use this episode as a model for Avodah Zara destruction. This was a different type of matzav happening over here. Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says, okay, I'll give you another historical precedent. V'lo kvar ne'amar. The pasuk says, so we'll say this is by. Here, look at Rashi for just actually before you Rashi. V'lo kvar ne'amar. The gam is ma'acha imo. So we'll say, so the pasuk over here says the gam ma'acha. So this is talking about by King Asa. So King Asa again was a righteous individual, tried to rid the kingdom of Avodah Zara. So the Navi over here discusses that he had Avodah Zara in his own family. V'gam ma'acha eim Asa hamelech esira migavira asher asasa la'ashera mifletzes. So the pasuk says over here that even Ma'acha, the mother of Asa, literally again, Hesira Migvira means he removed her from her prominence. Asher Asasa la'ashera mifletzes. She made a mifletzes for her Asherah. We'll discuss what that means. But we'll say the point over here is that Asa is destroying the Avodah Zara. And how does he destroy the Avodah Zara? Vayidak vayisrof benachal kidron. Again, he went ahead and he burnt up the Avodah Zara, and apparently he took the dust, or he took the ashes, and he spread it in the Kidron Valley. So Rabbi Yossi says, you see from here that how do you deal with Avodah Zara? Destroy it, burn it, grind it up, and spread its ashes in either in the river or in the sea, or just scatter it to the wind. So also you see over here that he's scattering it in the Kidron Valley. So what do you see from here? That you don't have to be choshesh about the dust of Avodah Zara serving to fertilize the field. So Amru lo. So said Rabbi Yossi Misham Raya. I don't understand how you bring a raya from there. Nachal Kidron eno megadol tzmachim. I will say Nachal Kidron does not support vegetative growth. Right? Therefore, again, Lemaisa, there's no issue with fertilizing anything because nothing grows in Nachal in Kidron Valley. Velo, is that true? V'atanya, Elu v'el. This is actually a fascinating halacha. We saw this in Psachim and Yuma. The Mesoras Shas quotes Elu v'elu misarvin ba'ama v'yotz l'nachal Kidron. So we'll say, let's talk about this for just a moment. Take a look at Rashi. Elu v'elu. It's right across from the Hagos Habach. Rashi says, Dobim achitzon v'dam hapnimim sheshireihem nishpachin al yisod mizrach achitzon vein yardin min hayisod l'ritzbah. Supposed to remember again in the Beis Hamikdash itself, by the Mizbeach there was like a drain. Remember again, there's blood obviously in the Beis Hamikdash. What do you do with all the blood? So there was a drain by the Mizbeach. So I'll say, so that ultimately again, blood would go down that drain. Now where would that drain go? That drain would actually empty out into the Kidron Valley. So the Gemara, the Brisa discusses something incredible. What would happen? So the farmers would gather at the opening of that drain in the Kidron Valley. What would they do? they would purchase the sacrificial blood to be used as fertilizer in their fields. Now remember, you have to purchase it. You can't just take it. Why? Because the mice, again, if you just take it, it's mi'ilah. So you have to purchase it, thereby redeeming it, transferring the sanctity onto the money. Money goes to the Beis Hamikdash. You could take the blood and use it as the fertilizer of your field. So elu ve'elu, the different types of bloods, misarvin ba'ama, go ahead and mix in the channel or in the drain. V'yotz l'nachal kidron, they flow out into the Kidron Valley. V'nim karin leganonin lezevel, and they are sold to the farmers as fertilizer. Umoalin bahen. And I will say, and if you don't pay for them, you're subject to mi'ilah. So we'll say, so what do you see from here? There are farmers of the Kidron Valley, which tells us what? Stuff grows in the Kidron Valley. So how can you say before that stuff doesn't grow in the Kidron Valley? To which the Gemara says, you're right. Mikomos yesh. I'm sorry, Mikomos yesh bo. Yesh makom megadol tzmachin, veyesh makom shin megadol tzmachin. So apparently in the Kidron Valley, there were fertile patches and infertile patches. So the idea over here is, so there are both. So there were certain parts of the Kidron Valley that could be planted, other parts of the Kidron Valley that could not be planted. Therefore, I get about according to this answer. So the Gemara is saying over here that when Asa went ahead and ground up the Avodah Zara and scattered the dust, perhaps he was makbid to do it in a part of the Kidron Valley that did not support any kind of vegetation. Okay, the Gemara just says, as an aside, my mifletes. So I'll say, here's what's interesting. So the Gemara has been speaking about the Avodah Zara of Ma'acha, the mother of Asa, says that she made a mifletes. A mifletes. So my mifletes, what does mifletes mean? So says the Gemara, my mifletes, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Dahava mafli leitzenusa. So we'll say apparently mafletes is a contraction of two words. Mafli leitzenusa, which means she did things, or we'll say now, leitzanos literally means silliness. In this particular context, what it really means is depravity. She did something exceptionally depraved. What did she do? Kedetani Rav Yosef, kamin zachros astala v'haisaniv elas lo b'choyor. Well, this is actually quite dramatic. She made like not an image, but on her Avodah Zara, she put an image of the male Aver. Right? She put an image of a male Aver, and literally again, she had relations with her idol each and every day. So not only did she worship idolatry, but literally she debased herself with the idol each and every day. So the Gemara goes right there. Amar Rabbi Yossi says, well, so remember again, Rabbi Yossi is just trying to find a proof. A proof to what? A proof to this idea that the way to dispose of Avodah Zara is to grind it up and scatter it to the wind, and that one need not be concerned that dust is going to go ahead and serve any kind of secondary benefit. So it says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yossi, V'lo kvar ne'amar, v'chites nachash nechoshes. Well, so we actually just learned about this in the Navi Shir on Shabbos afternoon. The pasuk says that one of the things that King Chizkiyahu did is he took the nachash nechoshes, he took the copper serpent made by Moshe Rabbeinu, and he ground it up. So the kides nachash nechoshes she'asa Moshe amrulo. So Bill says, you see now. Pashtas again. What does Moshe Rabbeinu do with the dust? The Pashtas he went ahead and what does Chizkiyahu do with the dust? The Pashtas he goes ahead and he scatters it. So you see again, there's a precedent for this type of disposal. So the Gemara says amrulo misham raya. So he said to Rabbi Yossi, you can't bring a raya from there. After all, harehu omer vayomer Hashem Moshe aseh lecha saraf. Because Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, make for yourself this copper serpent. Remember again, this is when there was the outbreak of snakes or of scorpions in the desert. Klal Yisrael was getting bitten and dying. So Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu to construct this nechushtan. Klal Yisrael looks at the nechushtan, and ultimately they're healed from the snake bites. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe, Aseh lecha saraf. Go ahead and make for yourself this copper serpent. Lecha mishalcha. We'll say, interestingly enough, Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to make this from his own funds, from his own money. Ve'ein adam oser davar she'eino shalo. So I'll say, here's what's fascinating, is this nechushtan really never turned into a real Avodah Zara. We'll say, why did it never turn into a real Avodah Zara? Because Lemaisa, although Klal Yisrael began to worship it, we'll say, you can't turn someone else's object into an Avodah Zara. Can you imagine this? If somebody else had the power to turn your objects into Avodah Zara, That means somebody comes along, bows down to your car in your driveway, decides to pledge its allegiance to your car as its deity, then what? Then what? You're done, right? And then it pledges allegiance to the driveway next, right? And then you're done. So obviously, ein adam oser davar she'eino shalom, meaning you can't go ahead and prohibit something that does not belong to you. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Aseh lecha, make the nechushtan from your own money, from your own copper. Therefore, it was technically the property of Moshe Rabbeinu. Because it's the property of Moshe Rabbeinu, even though Klal Yisrael subsequently worshipped it, but nevertheless, they don't have the ability to aser it. The ein adam oser davar she'eino shalom. To which the Gemara says, V'hasa bedinhu dechasusi lo havatzarich. The reality is, when Chizkiyahu HaMelech saw that they were worshipping the nechushtan, there was no obligation to destroy it. Elakevan dechazu, the katal Yisrael basrei amad v'kiseso. But since Chizkiyahu saw that the people were straying, they were making mistakes with this nechushtan, he decided to destroy it. But I will say, even though he decided to destroy it, that was more of a public service. But at the end of the day, it's not Avodah Zara. Therefore, again, its dust would have never been prohibited. Amar lahem. So Rabbi Yossi is not giving up. Amar lahem. V'lo kavar nehemar vayaz vusham. So we'll say the pasuk says in Shmuel Aleph by David HaMelech, Vayazu shamas atzabehem, vayisaim David va'anashav. So we'll say this is after one of the wars that David HaMelech waged with the Plishtim. So the pasuk says, the Plishtim ran away in such fright that Vayazu shamas atzabehem, they left their idols. Atzaveh means their idols. Vayisaum David va'anashav. And we'll say, Rabbi Yossi is translating Vayisaum as meaning what? David HaMelech and his men ground up the idols and they scattered the dust. So the Gemara says, "My mashma da'hai vayisaim David lishna dizaruyehu." How do you know that the Yisaim is also vayisaim? The pashat taich of vayisaim means what? They lifted up. How do you know that vayisaim means to grind up? So to which the Gemara says, "Kidi metargim Rav Yosef." As Rav Yosef translates, Tizraim v'ruach tisaim. So also Rav Yosef quotes the pasuk from Yeshayahu, Tizraim v'ruach tisaim. What does that mean? Umetargaminon, we translate that as saying Tazrinun, grind it up, v'ruach titaltalinun, and the wind will go ahead and take it. Amrulo misham raya, can you bring a raya from David HaMelech? After all, Hareyu Omer, the pasuk says, Vayisrafu ba'esh. Well, so the pasuk says that they took the Avodah Zara, and what did they do? They burnt it in the fire. So the Gemara says, Umidlo ksiv vayisrafeim vayisaim. And the fact that it does not say they burnt it and they scattered it, shmamina vayisaim mamish. We'll say we would be tempted to say that vayisaim means what? That they literally went ahead and what? They literally they lifted it up. Mikol mokom kashu kra adadi. So we'll say either way, we have a contradiction in psukim. We'll say, what's the contradiction? We have two different, meaning one pasuk seems to indicate that David HaMelech went ahead and burnt the Avodah Zara of the Plishtim, and the other pasuk seems to indicate that's what? That he lifted up or took the Avodah Zara of the Plishtim. So which one is it? What did David HaMelech do with the Avodah Zara of the Plishtim? To which the Gemara will say something amazing. Kid Rav Huna Rami Ksiv. Also Rav Huna contrasts these psukim and explains the contrast. So on one hand it says, Vayomer David Vayisrafu ba'esh, says that David HaMelech ordered that the Avodah Zara of the Plishtim be burnt in the fire. Uksiv vayisaim, but the pasuk also says that what? That he lifted it or took it. So we'll say, so which one is it? Did he destroy it or did he keep it? Lo kash, it's not a contradiction. We'll say, here we go. Kan kodem sheba itai hagiti, kam la'achar sheba itai hagiti. So we'll say, listen to this. One was before Itai, the Giti, came along. One was after. What does this mean? Take a look at Rashi. It's Rashi almost right across in Rashi. Kodem Shabbat Itai Ubitla Amar David L'Sara. So we'll say Itai Agiti is an Akum. He was an Akum, he was a Gentile. And therefore, again, what happens? He comes along and he negates the Avodah Zara. Remember, again, I was saying Akum has the ability to negate the idolatrous identity of an Avodah Zara, whether it's his Avodah Zara or someone else's Avodah Zara. So watch this. Before Ita Hagiti came along and negated the Avodah Zara, David HaMelech has no choice but to what? But to destroy the Avodah Zara. But once Ita Hagiti comes along and negates the idolatrous identity of the Avodah Zara, so David HaMelech has the ability to keep it. because it's no longer Avodah Zara. Says the Gemara D'chsiv, Vayikach es ateres malkam me'al rosho u'mishkala kikar zav. So we'll say, for example, the pasuk says in this same context, David Hamelech took literally ateres malkam. We'll say malkam is actually the name of the Avodah Zara. David Hamelech took a crown off one of their Avodah Zaras and literally umishkala kikar zav. We'll say this was an exceptionally heavy crown. Right, so a kikar zav. So we'll say just to give you an idea. So a kikar is somewhere between like 50 and 60 pounds. So the idea is this was a very, very, very heavy crown. Obviously, it must have been worth an incredible amount. So the Gemara says, 1 second. Umi shari, how could David take the crown? So asiri hanoninu. If it's a crown of Avodah Zara, would it not be asr ba'ana? To which the Gemara says, Rav Nachman ita hagiti ba ubitla. So we'll say ultimately again. Remember this is what we said before. Ita Agiti came along, and what? He was mevatel, the idolatrous identity of this crown, or of this pesel, and therefore again, David HaMelech was permitted to keep the crown. So the Gemara said, Mishkala kikar zas. The Gemara talks about the crown for just a little bit. So how can you say ultimately, so if it's a kikar, heichi matzi manachla, we'll say, how could David HaMelech wear that? In other words, how can you support something that's 50, 60 pounds on your head on a regular basis? Amrav Yehuda Amarav, Ru'uya lanuach al rosh David. What it means is such a crown was fit for David HaMelech. It was fit. Look at Rashi. Amar Yehuda, Hai vatihi al rosh David loved the manachla. It doesn't literally mean that David HaMelech wore it. Rather, Elahachi kamar chashuva uru'uya David shasui lemidas roshav halamto. So we'll define what this means in just a moment. Rabbi Yehuda is saying it was fit for David HaMelech. It was fit for a king of Davidic stature. So the Gemara says, Amar Yehuda, Amarav ru'uya lanuach al rosh David. So the Gemara says, Rav says also, it was fit for the head of David HaMelech. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, Amar, Evan Sho'eves Haisaba, Dahavazdara La. This is interesting. So apparently, again, what used to happen is there was a magnet. There was a magnet that was on top of the throne of David HaMelech, so that when he sat on his throne, so he was able to wear the throne. Why? Excuse me, he was able to wear the crown, because the magnet which was embedded on the top of the throne almost allowed the crown to sit on his head without weighing down on his head. Rabbi Elazar Amar Even Yikara Haisaba Sheshava Kikar Kes. Also, Rabbi Elazar has a different approach. He says the kikar doesn't have to represent the weight. The kikar could represent the value, that it was as valuable as a kikar, but it could just be that what? That there was one major stone in it that was worth all of this money. Zos Haisali. So we'll say David HaMelech is going to speak a little bit more about this crown. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Zos Haisali, this was for me, or I merited this, because I kept your mitzvos. So my kamra, what does this pasuk mean? So the Gemara says, this is what it means. Bischar shepikudecha natzarti, Zos Haisali le'edus. Because ultimately, again, Bischar shepikudecha natzarti, because I went ahead and I kept your mitzvos, Zos Haisa Li Le'edus. Ultimately, again, this crown was a testimony to me that I was your chosen monarch. So the Gemara says, "My edusa." I don't say. How does the crown attest to the veracity of David HaMelech's claim to the throne? I'm going to also listen to this. Shaisa manicha b'makom tefillin v'holamto. We'll say David HaMelech would put the crown, would wear his crown by the place of the tefillin. We'll say v'holamto means that the crown miraculously fit to the shape of his head. See, also, when you think about a crown, so normally, again, a person listens, what shape is the crown? A crown is round. The problem with a round crown is that what I was saying. So the head is not round. So it doesn't. So it could sit on the head, but lav dafka, it's contoured. The miracle of David HaMelech's crown is that it contoured to the mamish, to the shape of his head. So the Gemara says, "V'habai anuchei tefillin," but I don't understand. If you wore the crown there, but Pashat HaMelech wore the crown all the time, how was he able to put on tefillin? Amar Rav Shlomo Rav Yitzchak, Makom Yesh Berosh, Shera'oi Lahaniach Bo Shtei Tefillin. We'll say, because if you think about it, there was space to have the crown by the Makom Tefillin, but actually the place on the head where a person is supposed to put on tefillin, right? So there's actually space for two sets of tefillin. Well, so you can see this, you don't see it here in America, but in Eretz Yisrael, you often see this by certain groups of Sfardim, who dafka wear two pairs of tefillin at once. Two pairs of tefillin at once. They're usually tiny pairs of tefillin, but you're able to put on 2 pairs of tefillin. Again, they're able to sit both on the rosh and on the yad at the same time. So we'll say, so again, the pasuk says they brought out the son of the king. We'll say this is not Yoash, right? Yoash, his mother. Remember, Yoash's mother had wiped out the entire monarchical line. Yoash's sister had hid him. She hid him actually in the Beis Hamikdash for a number of years. They bring out Yoash and they crown him. How do they crown him? They gave him the Nezer and the Eidos. The Gemara says Nezer zu kalila. The crown. The Nezer is the crown. Eidos. So we'll say, what does it mean? Eidos. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav. Eidos hu lebeis David. We'll say the crown was the ultimate testimony if you were a fit Davidic monarch. How so? Shekalarai lemalchus holamto. V'chol she'inarai lemalchus ein holamto. We'll say this is amazing. How would they know if a person was an appropriate Davidic king? So they would put the crown on their head. If the crown fit, right? If the crown fit, you're the king. If the crown did not fit, then you're not the king. The Gemara tells us about someone who the crown did not fit. Va'adonia ben chagis misnase lemor ani amloch. But remember again, this is at the end of Malachim Aleph. Shmuel Beis. David HaMelech is on his deathbed, and while he has not actively named the successor, his son Adoniah ben Chagis says, "I am going to rule." Amar Yehuda Amarav shemisnase lahomo v'laholamto. He said he was going to rule because he said the crown would fit, but yet the crown did not fit. Vayas lo rechav u'parashim chamishim ish ratzim lefanav. So Adoniah already began to conduct himself like the king. And again, he had chariots and runners, 50 men who ran in front of him. Myra Busayim, what's the big deal that he had 50 runners in front of him? To which the Gemara says, these weren't just runners, these were the fastest runners in the kingdom. Kulam netuli tchul, but say each of them had their spleen removed. V'chakuke kapos ragleim hayu, and apparently had the soles of their feet hollowed out. So Rashi points out that apparently the spleen, hatochal machbid, apparently the spleen slows you down. So they took something, I guess, that destroyed the spleen internally, and ultimately they also went ahead and did something to the soles of their feet that allowed them to run faster. Good. We'll say Mishnah Amud Beis. Shaul Pruklus ben Phulusfus es Rabbi Gamliel Ba'ako. So this guy, right? This guy, Pruklus ben Phulusfus. Rashi says Min Oved Kochavim Haya. By the way, he wasn't just an Oved Kochavim. He was a min Oved Kochavim, right? Which means like all-star Oved Kochavim status. So this guy is an important Oved Kochavim. As Rabbi Gamliel Ba'akol. So yes, Rabbi Gamliel and this guy Pruklus ben Phulusfus are in Akko together. Shayrochetz b'merchatz shal Aphrodite. And Rabbi Gamliel is with this guy in the bathhouse of Aphrodite, right? The Greek god Aphrodite. Amrle. So Pruklus says Rabbi Gamliel. The pasuk says that your Torah says that a Jew essentially can't have anything to do with Avodah Zara, right? You can't have any kind of connection with Avodah Zara. So why are you bathing in the bathhouse of Aphrodite? It's a good shaila. Amrlo. So I said, Rabbi Gamliel says, I can't talk Torah with you in the bathhouse. So I'll talk to you when we get out of here. When they came out of the bathhouse, Amrlo. So Rabbi Gamliel said as follows. He said, number one, Anilo basi bigvuleha, he ba'a bigvuli. I did not come in her domain, she came in my domain. What does that mean? Look at Rashi. He ba'a bigvuli. Rashi says, Shamer chatz kodim la. The bathhouse was here before Aphrodite. In other words, this bathhouse pre-existed when they introduced the idol of Aphrodite. So because the bathhouse was here before Aphrodite, therefore again, I could use the bathhouse even if they subsequently introduced the idol. Furthermore, again, no one constructs a bathhouse for the beautification or for the honor of Aphrodite. Ela omer naase Aphrodite noi lemerchatz. So also this is also interesting. Gamliel says, furthermore, no one builds a bathhouse for Aphrodite. Rather, again, the idol of Aphrodite is introduced afterwards as an adornment or as a decoration for the bathhouse. Take a look at Rashi. Same Rashi. He bought big v'liva otshuva acheres. Ein anu omrim naase merchatz noi len Aphrodite. De merchatz lav davar noi. El naase Aphrodite noi merchatz. So Rabbi Gamliel essentially answers them in two ways. Number one, The merchatz was here before Aphrodite. Number two, it's not Aphrodite's merchatz. The merchatz wasn't made for Aphrodite, but rather, again, Aphrodite is simply an adornment in the bathhouse itself, therefore I could use it. Davar acher, in nos l'cha mamon harbe. Furthermore, again, Rabbi Gamliel said, if they were to give you a lot of money, iyata nichnas la'avodas kol chavim shelcha arum o ba'al keri umashtim bifaneha. Furthermore, again, Rabbi Gamliel says to this guy, Proklus, says, listen, even if somebody were to give you a lot of money, you wouldn't walk naked in front of your Avodah Zara. You wouldn't go ahead and urinate in front of your Avodah Zara, because again, your Avodah Zara is your God, right? And therefore, again, you would not mistreat it. Yet this statue of Aphrodite, Omedes al Habib, stands right by the gutter. And everyone urinates right in front of it. Everyone urinates. So the Gemara says, Lo ne'emar elo Eloheihem. The Isser of Avodah Zara, or the Isser of a Jew going ahead and coming. Actually, this pasuk is specifically speaking about the obligation to destroy Avodah Zara. The obligation to destroy Avodah Zara, Ela Eloheihem, as shenoing bo mishum Eloka or Eloha aser, as she'ina knowing bo mishum Eloha mutter. So ultimately, Rabbi Gamliel says the Isser of Avodah Zara is only on things that people treat like a god. But on things that people don't treat like a god, but rather treat in a more disparaging fashion, so the Isser of Avodah Zara does not apply. So we'll say, therefore it turns out that really, Rabbi Gamliel seems to give three different insights to this Pruklos. Number one, bathhouse was here before Aphrodite. Number two, it's not Aphrodite's bathhouse. Aphrodite is just an adornment here. And number three, you guys aren't really even worshiping this idol. Because if you worship the idol, you wouldn't walk around unclothed. You wouldn't be urinating in front of the idol. But you're doing all of these things. And therefore, by definition, this is not the type of Avodah Zarah that the Torah prohibits. Says the Gemara, Vehechi Avidhachi. So the Gemara has an interesting shaila. So Rashi says, Vehechi Avidhachi, Da'achadali b'merchatz, v'alo ein meshivin b'merchatz, v'asr la'omer b'lashon chol b'beis ha'merchatz. So also listen to this. Now remember, Pruklos asks Rabbi Gamliel this question in the bathhouse. How can you bathe in the bathhouse of Aphrodite? So what does Rabbi Gamliel respond? Rabbi Gamliel responds, ein meshivin b'beis ha'merchatz. I can't talk Torah in the bathhouse. Says the Gemara, how is he even able to remember again? The statement of I can't talk Torah in the bathhouse is what? Is Torah. Right? So the Gemara says, how is Rabbi Gamliel even able to answer that to Proklos in the bathhouse? A person is permitted to think thoughts of Torah in every place, with the exception of the bathhouse and the bathroom. So maybe he didn't speak Hebrew, so maybe he used some type of foreign tongue, right, to go ahead and answer this. Abaye says, no. Dvarim shalchol mutter la'omran b'lashon kodesh. Abaye said that dvarim shalchol, mundane matters, one is permitted to speak about even on lashon hakodesh. Dvarim shal kodesh, but holy matters, asr la'omran b'lashon chol. You're not even permitted to go ahead and say them in a foreign tongue, in non-lashon hakodesh. To which the Gemara says, you're right. Tana kishayatsa amrlo in mashim b'merchatz. So also what happens is apparently in the merchatz itself, Rabbi Gamliel ignored Proklos. When they came out, Rabbi Gamliel says, I apologize for ignoring you, but in mashim b'merchatz, I'm not allowed to talk Torah with you in the merchatz. Now let me explain to you why I did what I did. Amar Bar Yosef Rabbi. So the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Chama Bar Yosef Rabbi Amar Rabbi Oshia. Tshuva Gnuva Heshiv Rabbi Gamliel la'osa hegmon. So let's listen to this. Rabbi Chama Bar Yosef says in Rabbi Oshia, truth is Rabbi Gamliel didn't really give a real answer to Proklos. Rather, it says again, Tshuva Genuva. We'll say Tshuva Genuva means he kind of pushed him off. Rashi says, Klomar Dachol Bakash. He didn't give him a real answer, but rather, again, he kind of just pushed the question aside. How so? Va'ani Omer, but Rabbi Chama Bar Yosef says in Rabbi Oshia, Eino Genuva. Good morning, Mr. Schoenfeld. Baruch haba. Welcome back. Va'ani Omer, Eino Genuva. And ultimately, again, but I say it in fact was not a stolen answer. In other words, that it was a real answer. So my Genuva say the Kamala. So I'll say, why would you say that it wasn't a good answer? So the Gemara says, Zu omedes al pi abiv v'chol adam mashtim b'faneha. So ultimately, again, so it says the Gemara, one of the things Rabbi Gamliel said to Proklos was, don't tell me that Aphrodite is your God, because everybody stands in front of it and what? And urinates. Says the Gemara, V'chi mashtim b'faneha ma'havi. So Rabbi Gamliel, you're saying that just because you urinate in front of the idol, therefore what? Therefore it's not Avodah Zarah. It's not true. V'amar Rava, pa'ar yochiach. We'll say, look at Baal Pa'or. What happens with Baal Pa'or? Shemefari lefanav b'chol yom ve'ino batal. Literally, they defecate on the idol, right? This is mamish like the whole thing, right? So what happens? So they go ahead and they defecate on the idol every day, and yet again, that's the Avodah Zara ve'ino batal. So we'll say, so therefore again, that's Rabbi Gamliel wasn't really giving a real answer. Rabbi Chama says, no, it's not true. Vani Omer Einu Gnuva. Rabbi Gamliel was saying, good, what's the difference? Zu Avodasa B'kach, v'zu Ein Avodasa B'kach. We'll say, here's the difference. You can't compare that. Baal Pa'ar, the way to worship the way to worship the idol is how? To defecate on it. That's mamish, that's the mode of worship. By Aphrodite, that's not the case. Amra Bai Gnufta Mehacha. Abai says, you're right. The truth is, it was a tshuva genuva. Rabbi Gamliel didn't really give him a good answer based on this. The Kamarle, ani lo basi b'gvula v'ba b'gvuli. Because Rabbi Gamliel says, listen, I didn't come to Aphrodite. Aphrodite came to me. Which I will say means what? Rabbi Gamliel was saying the bathhouse was here before Aphrodite. I will say first wide line mem dalam days. The chiba b'gvula my habi. So I don't understand. So what? Even if indeed, chiba b'gvula my habi. V'hadisnan. V'hadisnan. Avodas kochavim sheyesh lamerchatz ogina nanin mehen shelo betova. We'll say even if you have Avodah Zara, even if Aphrodite was there first, the Mishnah says as follows: that if you have an Avodah Zara, we'll say we'll get to this in a little bit, in a couple of days. That if you have an Avodah Zara, we'll say that has a merchatz or a garden, right? So the Avodah Zara has gardens. The Avodah Zara has a bathhouse. Nanin mehen, a Jew could use this bathhouse or shpatzir in the gardens. Shelo betova. But we'll say Shelo betova. Rashi says Shelo yachzik tova lekomrim. Come on, so let's listen to this. As long as what? As long as you don't express your effusive thanks to the priests who tend to the bathhouse or to the garden. So we'll say, so as long as you don't start giving shavach and odah to the Avodah Zara for the use of the bathhouse or the garden, it's okay. And also we're going to see, the Gemara is actually going to allude to this. The reason why this is so is because there is no such concept as hekdish by Avodah Zara, which we'll say means the idol itself is prohibited, but there's no such thing as things, as other objects or items being consecrated to Avodah Zara. So therefore, if you have an Avodah Zara which owns a bathhouse, that bathhouse is permitted for use. That garden is permitted for use. As long as what? As long as you do not go ahead and give effusive thanks to the Avodah Zara for the use of this object. So the Gemara says, so we'll say, listen to this. So therefore, even had the bathhouse belonged to Aphrodite, in other words, even had Aphrodite been there first, and the bathhouse mamish been built l'shem Aphrodite, it still would have, what I will say, it still would have been okay for Rabbi Gamliel to bathe there. To which the Gemara says, "Va'ani Omer, no, Einu Gnuva." Rabbi Gamliel was saying good. Why? Shelo b'tovas Rabbi Gamliel kitovas achirin dami. Because Rabbi was saying, if indeed it was built for Aphrodite, it would have been problematic for Rabbi Gamliel to bathe there. Why, I will say? Because just the fact that Rabbi Gamliel showed up and used it would have been construed as an incredible shevach to the Avodah Zara. Someone of such incredible prominence, someone of such incredible importance, using it would have been considered to be something that would have been a cover to the Avodah Zara. So the Gemara goes weiter. Rav Simi Bar Chia Amar Gnufta Mehacha. Rav Simi Bar Chia says he gave a stolen answer. So the Gemara, Rabbi Gamliel gave a half answer based on the following. The Kamar Lo, Zu Omedes Alabiv, V'chol Adam Mashtin B'faneh. Remember again, Rabbi Gamliel was saying, you guys don't really worship Aphrodite because Aphrodite is standing by the gutter and everybody's urinating in front of her. And ultimately, again, even if they urinate in front of her, so what? V'hatnan, we learned, Rak b'faneh, Hishtin b'faneha, Gira v'zark b'asatzoa, Harezu eina b'teila, that even if you spit on your idol, urinate in front of your idol, throw excrement at your idol, so ultimately, again, the idol is still Avodah Zara. It's not bottle. So we'll see. You see that even the act of urinating in front of the idol, throwing excrement at the idol, does not go ahead and negate the idolatrous identity of the idol. Vani Omer eina gnuva. But I say Rabbi Gamliel was still saying good. Why? Hasam lefi shaituhu rasechala. But we'll say, everybody's got a bad day sometimes, right? So sometimes it's just one of those throw excrement at the idol days, right? In other words, that I'm upset at the idol for whatever the reason, but lav dafka, that means I don't believe in it anymore. So it's just that, again, I'm having a difficult time in this particular matzov, but lamaisa, again, I still believe it. We'll say that's different when it's a sustained activity. If a person is urinating in front of you, so again, one day the person gets angry at the idol and throws something at it, spits at it, throws excrement, urinates on it, okay, it's angry at the idol for that day. But to do this every single day seems to be a fundamental statement that one is not actively worshipping this as a deity. To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Bar Ula Amar Grenufta Mehacha. Rabbi Bar Ula says that ultimately, again, Rabbi Gamliel's answer was not a real answer based on the following. The Kamar, Ein Omrim Nasa Merchatz Noy L'Aphrodite, Ela Nasa Aphrodite Noy L'Merchatz. That we don't say, make a bathhouse for Aphrodite, rather we say, put a statue of Aphrodite in the bathhouse to make it look nice. Rabbi Gamliel was seemingly saying, this is not Aphrodite's bathhouse, but rather we're going to have the statue of Aphrodite in here to make it look nice. Even if we said, like Rossi, we just mentioned this before, even if you were to say, let's make a bathhouse for Aphrodite, would that preclude Rabbi Gamliel from using it? V'ha'tanya, we learned, ha'omer bayis zeh la'avodos kochavim, kos zeh la'avodos kochavim lo'omer klum. But if a person says, I hereby declare that this house should belong to Avodah Zara, or this glass, this cup, should belong to Avodah Zara, lo amar klum. But say such a statement is meaningless. Why? She'ein hektish la'avodas kochavim. But say is a profound statement. Why? Because there is no such concept as hektish by Avodas kochavim. But say it's actually very profound. What is hektish? Hektish means, like for our purposes, hektish means the Beis Hamikdash has the ability to own something. And when the Beis Hamikdash owns something, the holiness ascribed to the Beis Hamikdash devolves upon the owned object as well. Again, different types of sanctity for different types of item, but that's the concept of hektish. Something owned or pledged to the Beis Hamikdash has Beis Hamikdash sanctity. The Gemara says that concept does not apply to Avodah Zara. So if an akum were to go ahead and say, I hereby pledge this bathhouse to Avodah Zara, we say, okay, and then go in and bathe. In other words, we'll say that statement does not have any theological or Avodah Zarah implications. Now, why we don't say hektish by Avodah Zarah, that's on Nun Beis. We'll discuss that sugya. Therefore, we're going to both say, even if at the end of the day, the bathhouse was mamish made for Aphrodite, it still wouldn't matter. It still wouldn't matter, because ultimately, again, it would not be Asr Bani. Omer ina gnuva, nehid di isri lo misra, noi miha. To which the Gemara says, you're right, but Rabbi Gamliel was still saying good, because at the end of the day, even if technically speaking, if it was made for Aphrodite, it wouldn't belong to Aphrodite, therefore could be used, since ultimately, again, the merchatz is associated with Aphrodite, it could have been that it would have been proper for someone like Rabbi Gamliel to abstain from using it. So says the Gemara, Noi mia ika, ihava rechitza noi lavodos kochavim, Asr liyafos avodos kochavim afagav disrilo misra merchatz bana. So this is actually quite interesting. So at the end of the Gemara says that even if halacha lemaisa, the merchatz would not have been asr for avodah zara, since again it would have been associated for avodah zara. Then I will say it could have been that this should have been something that Rabbi Gamliel would have avoided using. We'll stop over here for today. Just two quick things. First of all, tomorrow Purim. And Be'ez Hashem, we will begin the daf at 5:45 a.m., followed by the first Shacharis at 6:30. Let's say just one word about Tanis Esther. So again, we call today Tanis Esther, and people often think that it refers to the Tanis, to the fast day that Esther Hamalka declares for the Jews when she says to Mordechai, "Lech kino says Kala Yehudim mitzomu alai, gather all of the Jews and go ahead and fast for me," when she was about to go into Achashverosh. But of course, again, so that's not true, because that fast took place during the month of Nisan. So the Mishnah Berurah comments that although we call it Tainus Esther, it's nothing to do with the fast of Esther Amalka. Rather, it refers to the fact that Jews would often fast before they would go out to battle. The makar for this, the source of this, is Moshe Rabbeinu's war with Amalek. That the Moshe Rabbeinu goes out to war with Amalek, so again, Moshe Rabbeinu and the soldiers fast before and during the war itself. So since Klal Yisrael was going to face its enemies on the 14th and then ultimately the 15th of Adar, so they fasted on the 13th, the day before battle, and the day before battle going into Purim. I will say, we don't have time for it now, but the Svarim bring down that this is a day which is incredibly auspicious for tefillah, for prayer. Meaning, if you think about it, this was the day thousands of years ago where our ancestors, they had incredible bitachon, but sometimes you have bitachon in something, but there's a part of you that's still very scared because you don't know how it's going to turn out. So they believed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to take care of them as they rose up against their enemies on Purim and then on Shushan Purim. but there's always that feeling deep down, I know I'll be successful, but at what cost? And I'll be successful, what's the collateral damage? And the Rebbe Shalom answered their tefillos. Moshe answered their tefillos, and we are the testament to the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered their tefillos, that they were successful. We are here today celebrating Purim because the Rebbe Shalom answered the tefillos of our ancestors thousands of years ago on Tainus Esther. And the Svarim bring down that this day has an incredible and auspicious power of tefillah. That the ability to daven for things on Tainus Esther is almost unmatchable. So just to give you like a window into this, we often quote the great tzaddik Rabbi Yitzchak Raberditchev. So, the Rebbe was an Ohev Yisrael. That was the Rebbe's defining midah. He loved every single Jew. So they say that there was one day that you really couldn't speak to Rabbi Yitzchak Raberditchev. One day where he just really didn't interact with people that much. Take a wild guess which day? Tainus Esther. Why? He said, because today there is such a powerful koach hatfilah. Today there's such an incredible ability to dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to ask Him for all the things he need. He felt that he could not utilize that time speaking to other people. Today is the day ultimately again to be able to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we don't have the time to get into why that is, but I would just say, we're about to go into davening. And I will say, all of us have something to daven for. We each have people who we know who are ill. We know people who struggle with infertility. We know people who struggle with shidduchim, people who struggle with parnasa, people who struggle with shalom bayis, people who struggle with physical health, with mental health, with all different kinds of things. It's sarchi amcha merubim. And even if you're one of the lucky few who don't have anyone in your family who needs any of these brachas, or don't know anyone in your immediate circle who needs these brachas, say Klal Yisrael, tzarchei amcha merubim. We need so much. And most of all, it's enough of celebrating Purim. We need to start celebrating Moshiach. So we should just have in mind, often we're distracted during davening. And often our head is in a bunch of different places. And we're already in the office even before we get to the office. We've got a million things to do today. And it's Purim tonight. And it's a whole bunch of things going on. But we'll say, we have an opportunity for a Shachris and Mir Hashem this morning, for a Mincha this afternoon, on a day where Rabbi Yitzchak, our Rebbe, tells us that today the Koach HaTfilos, the Aruba Shamayim, the gates of Shamayim, the gates of the windows of HaKadosh Baruch Hu are wide open. And we be Zoche Mir Hashem to take advantage of the Koach HaTfilah on this day in the same way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered the Tfilos of our ancestors thousands of years ago. May He hear our Tfilos today, answer them in our Tfilos today. May we be Zoche Mir Hashem to personal, to national Geulos v'Yeshuos.